Hi, my name is Han.
Hi, I'm Edwina.
Rena, is that and that's how you pronounce it and everything? Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. How was the drive here? Did you find it okay?
I did. Yep. A little bit of traffic, but it's okay.
Okay, and the parking was just fine.
Yeah, it went okay.
Okay. Um, do you need anything else? Or are you comfortable?
I
Do you
think
have a
I'm
couple
good.
waters, a couple snacks?
I think I'm good, but thank you for asking.
Okay. First things first. Do you mind if we just go over a couple of client confidentiality things?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And if you have any other questions, just stop me. Okay.
Great.
I just want to emphasize that anything said between you and I is held confidential, and I won't talk about it with anyone else really. However, there are a couple exceptions to that.
Okay.
I am a mandatory reporter, so that means that if there's some information that, say, there's some child abuse going on, or there's vulnerable adult abuse, or you have intent to harm yourself or others,
Okay.
I'm legally obligated to report that.
If I tell you that.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, Also, in our agency, we have meetings with our supervisors. Um, so I'll have to discuss this case. You don't have to agree to it, and I don't even have to release your name.
Okay.
I was wondering if you had any issues with that or not.
I think I'd be okay with it if you just didn't use my name.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfectly okay with me.
Okay.
Um, so so as I mentioned before, I'm a therapist here, and this agency is really about person centric, and we're here to collaborate. And I might ask a couple questions. I might ask if I give some suggestions here and there, but the main point is you, and we're here to empower you and get you to work on some of your goals.
Okay.
Um, so just wanted to ask, like what's your family history? Like, what are you about? Like, what was your life like growing up?
It was fine. I'm have an older sister. Um, and I grew up with my parents and my sister
Okay.
um, in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
So we've pretty much always lived in Minneapolis.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And are you like close to your parents at all, or your siblings?
Normally, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
am. Recently, we've just like lost a little touch because I haven't really been talking to people that often.
Oh, okay. So that kind of leads me into like the reason why you're here, and can you just kind of tell me why, or
Yeah. Um, you know, just lately I've just been feeling really anxious and depressed. I've
okay.
been kind of alone. I have my
Mm-hmm.
own apartment,
Mm-hmm.
but I just haven't really wanted to go out and be around people.
Okay.
So I've been just kind of holding up and spending a lot of time with my cats.
Okay.
And yeah.
So from my understanding, you're kind of isolating yourself.
Hmm.
Um, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? And like, um,
Yeah. I mean, I just don't really talk to anyone anymore.
okay.
Um, I I don't like leaving my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get overwhelmed if I'm in crowds or even something as little as going to a family function. It just feels like too much. It makes me really anxious and just kind of afraid.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, okay. Uh, and when you're by yourself and you're isolated in your apartment, how do you feel?
I just feel weird and sad, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know other people like hang out with friends
Mm-hmm.
and their family, and I used to do that,
Yeah.
but I just feel like lonely. But
Feel lonely.
yeah, but I'm also too scared to leave sometimes, so I feel just kind of stuck.
Right.
Mm.
So you mentioned that you said that you used to do that, and like, was there a point that you kind of broke off from that, or you started to kind of retract a little bit and become more isolated?
I think I go through periods of times when I feel
Mm-hmm.
more isolated, or it just happens, I get really depressed.
Okay.
And, when I'm not feeling like that,
Mm-hmm.
I've had times where I am in school
Yeah.
or with friends, I do things in the community, but it's been hard for me to hold down a job. When I
Okay.
have a job, it feels better, but
Yeah.
it's hard for me to hold one down, and it's hard for me to stick with school.
Mm-hmm.
I get overwhelmed and just kind of just easily depressed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I've been hearing, it's been in the past couple of years, it's been jobs and school. They've been pretty inconsistent for you.
Yeah.
Some of the feelings or thoughts you've been having. Do you think that contributes to this inconsistency or?
Yeah, I think it contributes a lot to it.
Mhm.
I have a job. I have had good jobs,
Yeah.
but when I get depressed, I start having trouble waking up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I have trouble sleeping at night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm tired when I wake up, and I just don't have the motivation to go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of energy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask when you're not having a lot of energy and you don't have this motivation to get up. Um, do you have any thoughts of suicide, or how many hours of in the past week have you thought of suicide at all?
I think about it occasionally, but I would never do it. I never act on it.
Okay.
Maybe I've thought about it just a couple times in the past month, but I'd never do it. I just know that about myself.
Okay. And do you partake in any substance at all, or alcohol or drugs?
Not a big drinker. Sometimes I'll have a glass of wine
Okay.
if I go out with a friend, but that's about it. And I'm not really a drug user.
Mm-hmm.
Just never have been.
Right.
Interested in it.
Okay. So you mentioned that before were you a student? Is that correct?
Yes, I have been a couple
Right.
of times.
Okay, and then you mentioned that you've been employed too, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you were a student, when you were employed, and you said you were working full time, and how did that make you feel?
I guess it just gave me a reason to kind of get up and go somewhere.
Right.
It helped me feel less anxious because I had more of a steady income.
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about paying my bills or not being able to pay my bills.
Okay.
And jobs are good because you meet people and you meet friends.
Right.
And you're around people all day.
Right.
When I'm in my apartment alone and not working, I just feel kind of, like ashamed of that. And I feel kind of worthless.
Right.
I'm not doing much to contribute to anything.
Okay. So from what I'm gathering, when you are participating in these groups, like you feel more comfortable and relaxed. Is that right?
I think that that helps.
Yeah.
When I used to be involved in some community groups.
Oh,
like
okay.
Support.
Tell me more about that.
They were like more support groups for like people with mental illness in the community. They would just have different events. They'd have like dances. We'd like bowl together sometimes.
Yeah.
We just do fun stuff like that, like go on field trips even to like, just various locations. We'd go to Vikings games.
Oh, okay.
And I had a lot of friends there.
Oh, and so doing all those activities, how do you feel? Like, how does that make you feel? Or how did it make you feel in the past?
It made me feel like good and happy that I was a part of something and that I had friends. I think the friends thing was really, really made me feel good.
Right, and so you mentioned that you've been isolated a little bit. You've been holed up in your apartment. Have you talked to your friends in the past week or month or so?
No.
Okay.
It's hard. I don't know. It seems like a lot of just effort to talk on the phone. I don't really have the energy for it.
Okay. Okay. So you mentioned that you have a serious mental illness. Have you been prescribed any medication at
Hmm.
all for that?
Yeah, I take a few
Mm-hmm.
medications. I was diagnosed with bipolar affective disorder when I was 18, and
18. Okay.
yeah, it's been hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 35 now, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been dealing with this. I was diagnosed when I was 18, but I've been
Right.
dealing with it much longer, and it
Right.
takes a toll on you.
And it seems like your bipolar disorder has pretty disrupted some of um, your school and your work and some of your
Yeah,
social life. Is that correct?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely. It's hard. I am more get to be in more depressed phases, I would say, and that's what really affects me.
Okay. I just wanted to ask: are you taking your medications on a regular basis at all?
Um, you know, I'll go a few days, 3, 4, 5
Mm-hmm.
days, and I kind of just forget. Sometimes it's more that I just run out
Yeah.
and I don't have the energy to go pick them up from the
Mm-hmm.
pharmacy,
Yeah.
and so I know I need to take them
Mm-hmm.
regularly, but I just haven't been.
Okay. And how long have you? How can you give me an estimation? Like, how long you've been pretty inconsistent with your medication?
Probably for the past um, 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and okay. So seems like you've been pretty inconsistent with the medication. How does that make you feel? Like um, when you're on it on a like regular basis, like is there a difference at all when you're kind of consistent or when you're on this normal routine?
When I'm taking them the way I'm supposed to, you know, I do feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of them have side effects. I feel they make me sleepy or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like when my body gets used to them, my thinking just feels better. I just have more energy to go
Okay.
out and do things, and I've noticed just a huge difference in my anxiety level. I
Mm-hmm.
feel a lot less anxious, and
Mm-hmm.
it does stabilize my mood. My mood is more even keeled. It's just kind of less likely to just go up and down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, do you like feeling like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I hate the fact that I have to take medication to
Mm-hmm.
kind of maintain normal, normal
Okay.
thinking.
So, in the past, you mentioned that you enjoyed participating in groups. You did some other activities within your groups, like bowling. Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we had like this mental health group that
Mm-hmm.
we're in a bowling league,
Mm-hmm.
so we bowled once a week, and it was really fun.
Okay.
I'm pretty good at it.
Could you do you mind if I just give a couple of suggestions at all? Or
Yeah.
okay. Do you mind? Do you see yourself um, getting back involved with this group? Um,
I really hope so.
yeah.
I don't know if that particular group is still going, but
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know like how I would find
Mm-hmm.
a similar one in the community.
Okay, and but if you're willing, I'd be totally up for assisting you with that. We definitely have a pretty good resource directory that I could hook you up with, and
Yeah.
I know of a couple of good groups in mind.
Okay.
Would you be willing to just like look over and like we could like even attend, or I could even suggest, yeah, I could definitely suggest a couple of groups for you.
I think I'd be willing to try it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think that um, these groups are specifically for individuals who have a persistent mental illness.
Hmm.
So yeah, they do a lot of extracurricular activities like bowling or like biking, what have you. But essentially, it's a really good support group. And
I think that would be helpful.
okay, and yeah, I think it could reinforce, your normal routine for medication and being held a little bit accountable in like in that area. I don't know. I think it'd be it's kind of like this cycle. So
Yeah, I think it is.
okay. Do you have any? Let's see here. Oh yeah, I also like to mention that. So when we get more involved in groups, would you be willing to or open to applying to more jobs at all? Or
Yeah, I think that getting a job is important for me right now.
okay.
But the applications just kind of get overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
and I also don't know where to necessarily look for
Mhm.
job openings.
Okay. I can refer you to a couple of job coaching
Okay.
organizations, and would you be willing to try that? They are
Mhm.
they're pretty helpful
Okay.
when it comes to resumes, different organizations, companies.
Mhm.
They can definitely lead you to the right direction.
Mhm.
Would you be willing to try that?
Yeah, I would try that.
Okay. So within, let's say, in the next week or so before we meet, could we aim for like maybe creating at least a resume,
Yeah.
and then
Can you help me with that?
yeah,
To do that?
yeah, I can help you with that,
Okay.
and then applying to 1 to 2 jobs.
Hmm.
You think that'd be plausible at all?
I think after we would do a resume, then maybe we could do that in a session, and then the next one we could apply for. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. Whatever you feel comfortable with.
okay.
I'm definitely here to help with that.
I think that would work.
Okay. And then so you're open to joining a couple groups. Would you be willing to just join or look up or maybe observe one group before we meet next?
Yeah.
Okay. And then yeah, I mean that's it for me. And do you have any further questions or concerns or that need to be brought up or things we just haven't gone over yet? Do you think?
I think we covered it pretty well for today.
Okay.
I think you did a good job of asking and learning.
Okay.
Help me.
Well, it was great to meet you.
You too.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing your progress, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how things go for you. And I'm
Okay.
definitely looking forward to seeing you next. So
Okay. Thank you so much, Hum.
thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You too. Oh my God! 18 minutes.